We're happy here at the Salazar household. This episode was recorded on the first day back to school, which is a very glorious day for me. Not so much for Steph, but I'm very excited when the children leave the house and go to school for portions of the day, because then it feels like we get some normalcy back into our life and get the opportunity to connect. So it's a good day, and August is almost over, which means we're coming into fall in the near future, and I love fall. But thank you for listening to the Energy is Love podcast. If you are a new listener, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. We ask everybody that listens to this podcast, I will come to your door, knock on the door, and ask you this. Just share it with somebody. Just say, hey, have you heard of this podcast? And this is where you can listen. And if you're wondering where you can listen, it's literally anywhere that podcasts are available. Go to our website, energyislovepodcast.com, and all the links are there. Also, at the website, down at the very bottom of the page is a new option for you, the listener, to donate us some cash. Throw us some moolah. I don't ever use that word, moolah. It doesn't really roll off my tongue very easily. But throw us some bling. That's not a word that I use either. But you can now become a monthly donator. Donator is not a word either. But it's set up super slick and easy. You can do it through PayPal. Whether you want to give us $5 once or $50 every month, that's up to you. And all of that money we're going to take and save and eventually go buy a lottery ticket. No, it all goes back into the podcast and making this wonderful, wonderful podcast for you, the listener. So it is nearly the end of August, which means if you are interested in coming to the Brave Men Dare experience in October, which is just a little over a month away, we have a few spots still available. And up until the end of August, you can save some cash with the early bird pricing. Go to the website, bravemendare.com, click on experiences, and you will see all the information. And if you don't know what it is the opportunity for men to come together and support one another in the process of slowing down and really, truly connecting. And this connection process is on a very, very deep level, connecting with your emotions, with yourself, with your thoughts, with real deep desires of what you want in your life. So it's October 4th through the 6th. Like I said, just a little over a month away. If you are interested, hit us up and let us know if you've got any questions. Maybe you're a little nervous. Maybe cash is a little bit tight. Please reach out because we can definitely help you in that area, because this event is really just for you. It's your opportunity. If you want to change your life, if you wanted to break free from some of the old things that have been bogging you down forever and a day. If you're ready for real change and you want to do it in a space supported by other men, and not to mention in the beautiful mountains of Utah, incredible food. It's going to be at a really nice lodge. But yeah, hit us up if you want to come. And remember, you've got early bird pricing up into the end of August. This episode was recorded in our bedroom. We have this new setup that we really like where we position that, well, we don't move the bed, but we sit across from each other on our bed on these little stools, and it really works. I like it. But yeah, Steph and I break down quite a bit of different things in this episode. And the first thing, what was the first thing that we talked about? Oh, I don't remember what we talked about to start off with. That's too funny. Anyways, you will listen and you will find out what we talk about on this episode. I do know that we do get into our stretches for the month of August, as well as maybe hint a little bit at what September practices are going to look like. And we also go at the end of the episode in great length. We talk about mass shootings and the crisis that is ever present in our society and in our country today. And we kind of get our takes on it. So if you listen to it, hopefully you're not too triggered, and we would love to hear your thoughts. Keep in mind that this is just an open, free conversation between a husband and a wife about the shit that goes on in this country that's frustrating and hard to deal with. Share your thoughts with us. Hit us up at energyislovepodcast.com and shoot us an email. It's super easy. But for now, sit back and relax. Just enjoy another wonderful episode featuring your amazing hosts, Stephanie and Craig, on the Energy is Love podcast. Here we go.
You're listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
Energy is love.
The Energy is the Love podcast.
The Energy is Love podcast.
Energy is love.
The Energy is Love podcast.
The podcast for the universe.
The Energy is Love podcast.
I couldn't do it. You're
Pour your drink now.
Thank you. That makes me sound like it's an alcohol beverage.
Pour your drink?
Yeah.
Well, it is. What time is it? It's almost 9.
Yeah.
It's drinking time.
Is it? Well, then I'm going to trade out this, what is it? True lemon flavor for some...
Sure, that's what it is. Shake up your martini.
Oh my God. I'm not drinking yet.
Shaken.
Not stirred.
Not stirred. What's the difference? Do you know?
I have no idea.
I was never a martini man.
I don't think I've had a martini. Yeah,
I was going to say,
I have.
I don't know if I've had one.
I have, actually. I've had a martini with, you can get I don't know why you take, like, they're gross. I think they're gross.
Martinis?
Yes. And it could have been just the person that made them, but they were pretty particular about their martinis.
They thought they were like a martini snob.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they would
really
go.
They weren't.
Well, I don't know. But they would go between the little olives and the little onions. There's like small little onions.
Yeah, the pearl onions.
Why would you take a nasty thing and put a raw onion in it?
I don't know.
I mean, that's some breath right there. Like, you're like, come here. I have some martinis and I kiss you.
What was your favoriteest drinks back in the day?
Back in the day.
Back in your drinking days.
Well, back in my drinking, like, are you talking about when I shouldn't have been drinking when I was a kid?
No.
Or what are you talking about?
No, like, what would, like, if you were back in the day when you would go out to a bar or something like that, what would you drink? Did you never have a time like that?
You don't know me. Holy shit. Wow. Okay, so
we've been to a bar together a handful of times.
Yeah, we've been to a bar together. So this is my story with bars. I've been to a few when I was a teenager. There's a few bars in some rural areas that shall go unnamed.
Oh, we can name them.
Well, I don't even think they're anyways, that they would let you in.
Uh-huh.
They would be on rural roads with pool tables and some interesting characters. And definitely. Anyways. So there's that a couple of times. And then I guess in my 20s, I went a couple of times with, I don't know, I guess, I don't know what to say, the ex. I went a couple of times because that was like the only way I could ever bond. But that only happened a few times. Did get into a bar fight once.
Nice.
Yeah, it was not good. I mean, I won, but... no, it was crappy. It's because he was starting this fight with this girl and I was afraid he was going to hit her. So anyways, it was shit. So no, I didn't enjoy that. And we've been a couple of times and I went with Janelle a couple of times. Yeah, I don't have a lot of bar stories.
Do you not have a go-to drink?
No, which is why I'm that girl that one gets there. It's like, what do I want? I don't know. What sounds, because I don't have a go-to drink.
Do you remember a drink that was like your favorite drink?
I like margaritas.
Yes.
I do like margaritas.
See, that's our go-to
margaritas.
drink back in the day when we would go to the bars.
Yeah.
When we would go to the bars. That's what it's called, right?
I'm
going to the bars.
To the bars? Now I think of like bars class, but like I think of like massage and dance and like I don't think of no. I kind of, you know what? I think I need a signature drink.
Do you?
Yeah, I think I need to. Bars, I don't like bars.
Yeah, we're not bar people.
I just don't.
We're just not bar people. We can't even I can't even pretend to be a bar person.
It's hard.
There was a time period where I used to work at a bar.
Yeah,
and you know that. You know all of those fun stories. Mm-hmm. And during that time period, I was definitely a bar person.
I did go to the bar one time in my first marriage that was not with him.
Yeah.
Yes. And it was to the bar you worked at.
Yes.
Yes.
Tracks.
Yes.
Tracks was the name of that bar.
Yes.
It perhaps was even a time period when I was there.
It probably was. We
probably crossed paths together. I could have served you a drink.
You probably did. Well, there was this one guy, and I remember I was singing and I don't know, maybe I was singing, but I was a little drunk at the time.
I was singing.
And I was
singing a song.
dancing. And you know how good of a dancer I am.
Especially when you're drunk and
Especially
singing.
when I'm drunk. So I was really feeling that Puddle of Mud song. You know the song?
I don't.
It's called She Fucking Hates Me.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't even know the band Puddle of Mud.
Okay, well, if
Would
I
you
played
like to
it
sing
right,
us a few bars?
No, it's a really like he's singing about how he's hated by his significant other, and I was singing of my hate of
for your significant
So I was
other?
feeling it, and there was a guy behind the bar that was like dancing with me in a sense, and I don't know if he was making fun of me or if he was, but I was like, because. I don't know if you noticed this, but this is clearly not a song that a woman jams to when she likes men at all.
Was it upstairs or downstairs?
It was downstairs, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Could have been me. Could have been me dancing behind the bar with you. You never know.
Well, that makes it kind of like,
hey,
I'm going to marry you later. It's okay. I won't hate.
Yeah.
I'm going to marry you and I'm going to love you. And I'm going to love you.
I'm glad that we're not bar people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to, sorry, that just triggered a memory. What if that was you?
It could have
Do you
very
remember
well been.
this ridiculously gorgeous woman that you just knew
Yes.
and then she was like hardly noticed, but you felt that spark?
Very much so.
Yeah, good answer, mister.
I remember you vividly.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's why it took several years later before we actually met. Before our paths actually crossed.
Yeah, you remember me vividly. That's why you didn't come around me for years. Seems about right. All right, mister. Anyways, you were saying before I got swirled by that memory.
I don't know what I was saying.
You were talking about working at Tracks, and I know all the stories to that.
Yeah, and just how we're not bar people.
Oh, that was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I didn't really cut you off too much.
No, not at all. Yeah, I don't like the bars.
I don't like them either.
Yeah, I can't even pretend to. Like I go there now, and I'm like, the last time I went was with Stephen and Mike, and we went and had dinner, and it was at a bar that they were doing like trivia night or something because it was like Tuesday or something, right?
That's fine.
And I just don't like them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first off, I don't drink anymore, so that's, there's nothing for me at a bar other than water and bar food.
Which is good. You have to be drunk to enjoy it.
Yeah. But no, I don't like the bars. But we don't need to talk about bars anymore.
No?
It is...
I don't know.
It is the... Did you want to talk about bars?
No,
more?
I'm just thinking like maybe it's just because I don't try to have enough fun. Like maybe if I just like... Because you see people at the bars having fun when you're there.
No, baby, you see drunk people.
Well, they're smiling.
Because they're drunk.
Well, maybe I need to be more drunk. Maybe I need to loosen up and have some more fun. I mean, maybe I need to do my jump dance.
Your jump dance?
Bounce.
What is the jump dance?
Because you're happy and you're bouncy. I don't have rhythm,
I want
so
to
I
see
bounce.
the jump dance.
Well, you did, and you didn't like it, and we didn't talk for years.
You're cute. So, first day of school is in session today, and you and I
Good
are
segue.
free from all children. That's a good thing. This is
why I need to drink. I'm like, I miss the kids.
no, but we're finally free from summer vacation. Summer vacation is also known as fighting with your children 7 days a week.
Well, that is true.
Yeah, instead of just like 2 days a week. It's nice though.
Yeah.
Smile, it's a good thing. You and I get to record in like freedom without worrying about people interrupting us besides the dogs in the backyard that aren't ours or the lawnmower guy.
Where's our dog?
She not laying down?
She's not. Did I put her outside?
No.
No?
No. And then we also get to do the naked stuff today, which we've been waiting for.
I don't know. I'm still kind of traumatized. Should we tell that story?
Go ahead. I mean, it's not much of a story. It's just funny.
It's okay. Well, we always hear him. So we have a child that sleeps downstairs who makes a lot of noise. You can hear his bedroom door shut. You can hear him come up the stairs.
Yes.
So it's always safe because we know when he's waking up.
Yes.
And then we can cover up.
Because we sleep naked.
We like to sleep naked. Well, I also have this thing where I like to scare people and the rars, and it's funny, and the kids have picked it up. So yesterday morning, he decided
to ninja creep up the stairs and surprise mom and dad.
Luckily, you had just got your shorts on, so
I
you
don't
didn't
think
see
I
both
had.
of us. Oh, I thought you did. No, you did because you were there. I think you were okay.
I don't think so. I think I was in the process of putting on.
Did you get them up fast
I
enough?
don't even know. I don't remember. It was this moment of like time stopped.
I did. And a terrible.
And everything just froze. All of us literally just froze there. And the poor boy's brain broke.
Oh my God, the poor kid.
And then suddenly, when my consciousness came back into my body, I just reached over and closed the door.
Yes, that did take you a while to close the
It took
door.
a long time, right?
Because I was like, he came around and rah,
Yes.
and he scared me, and
He
I
did.
screamed.
And he got scared.
And
that motherfucker.
I can't go into the bathroom because the door's shut and I can't move. So I just like crouch down in the fetal and try and hide all of my parts.
Yeah, Stephanie
with
just
my knees.
drops into a ball.
I tried to hide it, and he's screaming, "Why are you naked?" And I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, because I can't move. I can't expose anymore. And I'm just like terrified. And the poor kid is just like, ah! You can like feel his like retinas just burning. Like
Yes.
he is just destroyed. And then finally the door shuts. And I think I crawled into the bathroom.
I don't know what
I
you
don't
did.
even think I could like stand up at that point.
It was
and then
such
I
a funny
started
moment.
laughing. And then I hid in the room for a while.
Uh-huh.
I was afraid to come out and make eye contact with him.
Yeah.
And he didn't try to talk to me either. We just had our...
It's okay. He'll get through it.
He's not.
He'll get
like,
through it.
You can see him like every once in a while he would just like shake his head like, like, I'm sorry, that's real trauma. He's got real trauma. Poor kid.
He'll be fine. It's not the end of the world.
He just comes in, rah, and there we
I
are.
know. Can you imagine, like, think about his head leading up to that moment where he's like, oh, this is going to be so great. I'm going to scare them. I can't wait. I'm so good at this. They'll never know that I'm coming.
And we didn't.
What the fuck just happened?
So this is like, he's not going to try and scare anybody ever again.
No.
He's ruined for that. He's not going to appreciate being scared. His children are never going to know.
The joy.
Yeah,
of
because
being
he's
scared.
like, he's like seriously traumatized now and can't. So I guess that's good because we don't have to. Well, last year we thought we didn't have to worry about being naked because kids were at school and we were having naughty sex, and kid and her boyfriend came through the front door. And
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like, just
Wait,
leave
like-
us the fuck alone, kids. Get the hell out of this goddamn house. And don't come back until we tell you.
no, it's so sad.
It's going to be best
It's
for you.
so sad. It's so sad. These poor kids.
But today's the first day of school, so now we get the opportunity to just walk around anxiously naked, waiting for somebody to accidentally come home.
Like ninja rolling through the house, hiding behind counters. I don't know why I'm popping that. I'm sorry.
You're okay. No, that was funny, poor kid. But what do you do? What do you do? Did you spill some?
I did all over my boob. I just can't.
Well, that's what you get for drinking at 9 a.m.
It's not alcohol. Everybody's going to think it's really alcohol.
It's coming up on like I think like 2 years. See, I since I've drank,
You sound like an alcoholic.
I know. And I don't, I mean, that's, I had a shot of something, I don't know what it was, some sort of whiskey last summer. So technically, if we're considering that drinking, which technically it is,
Yeah.
then it's only been a year. And then Janelle made me taste your guys's whatever wine that you guys get. back in the spring. So
you guys should have seen it. She it got had a knee in his back, his arms behind him, she had him wrapped up, and then poured it with a funnel. That's how she made him.
It was horrible.
She didn't make you.
She made me. So I guess technically I haven't had a drink for a few months.
Are you I know you're not an alcoholic, and I know but when you talk like that, I start to get concerned. Do you need a support group?
Even though if only I had a support group.
An alcoholic support group? Do you need a meeting?
I'm definitely not an alcoholic. It's funny.
It just makes it sound like that, though.
I know, but it's...
I feel like...
You feel like what?
I have to, get into support role with the non-drinking. It triggers me. It does. And so then it scares me.
Well, I'm definitely not trying to trigger you.
I know you're not trying. You don't trigger me.
I realized that... I just stopped drinking because... For whatever, right? And then I've continued it because I like talking about it, because it makes me feel special.
Oh.
Look at me. I've done this thing that is very difficult for people to do, but I've just done it. And
I think you are special.
No, but I realized the fallacy in there where it's oh, silly Craig, nobody, you're not an alcoholic. It doesn't really matter. You're not impressing people with your
I'm impressed.
ability to not consume alcohol. It's not a big deal. And so I've had to did you need to check that? Your phone?
I just was seeing if Asher texts back.
Is there an important message from
there might be
somebody alerting us that they're coming home so we can put our clothes on?
We're not naked podcasting.
Yet. But we will in the near future. Anyways, I realized that I was... Not that I was doing it for the wrong reasons, because I think that it's also beneficial. I just don't drink anymore, and I don't really care about it. But I realized that I was using it in a non-beneficial way to kind of feed some sort of ego trip of look at me, look at me, look at me, please acknowledge that I'm special, when it's not really a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal, but it's not, right? I don't need to drag it out every opportunity that I get and present it to people and be like, look, I have not had any alcohol for, well, I guess technically a few months, but, a sip here and a shot there in my mind doesn't count. First off, I'm not a fucking alcoholic, nor was I ever. I definitely had an unhealthy relationship with alcohol throughout my life in some circumstances, but it was temporary due to circumstances and life, just life, and it was coping mechanisms. And
it never stuck.
What do you mean it never stuck?
It wasn't something that you would go through moments occasionally. I can think of... Honestly, I can only really think of one bout. It was a good amount of time, but I can only think of one bout where I was like, man, that's getting a little much. And then, but you never had to deal with not drinking. You never had to wean yourself off of it. You never had to and then here's this thing and sober month, you never had to just try and challenge yourself first. So it was just something that you did for a little bit and then you just stopped doing and you started doing healthier things. Well, anyways, so as far as what our 7-year relationship so far, I've only seen that once where you've got to a point where it was ooh.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that might be so that's pretty good. But I don't know. I describe it a certain way because it's not just with alcohol, like you're saying, how you do these things. I describe it a certain way. And that's how I recognize when you're doing it.
You describe what a certain way?
When you do this thing.
Where I present something to blow up my ego and make me feel special?
That's not the verbiage I was going to use. No.
Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm not talking about anything.
That's totally what you're talking about.
No, I'm not talking about it. I don't know what nothing safe is right now. I just I need to go to the bathroom. I need to have a bathroom break.
No, speak to that.
No, because like you just scared me now.
Why?
I don't know
if you're aware of it and if you like recognize it, then you should share that with me.
I should share that with you. Yeah, that goes over well. I call it when you go all in. You have these things that pop up that you do and you're like, oh, he's all in. So very.
Yeah. Yeah, where I get kind of super obsessed with something.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think I don't think that's what this was. I mean, I think it may have some component of that, but I think it was more about wanting to like seem special.
Out loud kind of thing.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's, you go all in. It's a lot of things you do that with.
To seem special.
And then you go. But you know what? I bounce at bars and hit mics. So, nobody's perfect. I don't go a lot. I don't know how to have fun at a bar.
What else do I do this with?
You don't. I'm not having this. No.
Oh, Steph, it's not a big deal. I'm not triggered or upset or angry or anything like that. I think it's good awareness.
Okay, you become very temporarily passionate about things. That it's like, this is what we're doing now. You're all in. This is the new thing. You're all in. But there are times, if you look at it, right? You can look at your temporary things and they feel one way, and then you have things that are not temporary that you go all in about and they feel good and you can feel. And I think all of your temporary things build to the big things. It's just like you have to hit it like that so you get the tools that you need for where you're going. So it's a good thing.
You're trying to make it seem
so
like
fucking scared right now. But I mean that. I do mean that. There's a lot of times I don't mean that. There's a lot of times I go kind of like, sometimes it's really stressful. Sometimes it's really hard. Sometimes it's really hard. But like, I always end up seeing like the stuff. And it's good. So it's all good.
There is so much of what I do and what my actions are that directly correlate to being the youngest little brother trying to get seen and recognized and acknowledged and valued from not just my brothers, but from my family.
Yeah.
So much of it just goes back to like, please see me. Oh, you're not seeing me? Let me jump out of this tree. Let me climb on the roof. Let me do all sorts of crazy, insane things so that you see me and that you acknowledge me and that I have value and worth. So many things just directly go back to that little frame of mind from a like 6-year-old perspective. So maybe that's what my stretch is for September, is to bring awareness to some of those other things, like the awareness that I'm talking about now in regards to look at me, I don't drink alcohol anymore.
Do you get strength from those things? Those are personal goals. Do you get strength from them?
Well, I don't think, yes and no. I don't think there's anything wrong with having like a personal goal and, acknowledging it and speaking about it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But like smoking is different than the alcohol.
Yes.
Because straight up fucking addicted to cigarettes. And like that wasn't, I just smoke occasionally when we're at a barbecue. No, we were full on a pack a day or more.
Depending on the day.
Yeah, smokers. But yet that's something that we've quit. That's something that we can be proud of. That's something that I don't feel like is an ego boost of look at me, look what I've done. That is something that I take immense, what were you saying earlier? Like I really, like I take pride in that. Like for me, that fills me up with pride, and I don't care what other people think or, I don't, that's not why I talk about having quit smoking. It's because I'm proud of it. That was a difficult thing to do. And that was something that we did.
You know what? I'm getting a little defensive now for you.
Okay.
Well,
Who are we fighting? Who are you defending me from?
I'm fighting the asshole in your head that is mean. And the part of me, because, yeah, you do sometimes have quirks, but at the same point, like, you hang out with drinkers. It's not, I don't think it's a big deal to have a drink with your friends every once in a while. I think it's a big deal if you're always drunk and, like, that's your routine. You have a routine to where you drink, then that's a big deal. But I don't think it's a big deal. And I think there's also, like, I don't know, it's also, like, relaxing in a sense. Like, you don't get, when you do drink, or haven't, like, forever, but it's not a drink to get drunk thing. It was a drink for a drink. Sometimes drunk would happen. Every once in a while, that happens. But, so I think it is a big deal. I think it's hard, because I'm looking at, like, I felt that I couldn't drink because you had stopped. And so I had to say no to things, or I don't know. And I don't know. And then I kind of, once I was like, yeah, that's your decision. You're fine. If I want to have a drink with my friend, I will. Because that also triggers the, like, oh, living with an alcoholic, you don't drink either. So, which was like, it was never hard when I didn't, have it for years before, but that's not it. So, okay, sorry. Cut out all of my rambling. My point is I do think it's an accomplishment to not hang out when you're with your friends and they're having a drink, to have one with them. It is hard to be like, no, especially when you have your friends, come on, let's celebrate and have a shot or whatever. So you go ahead and be proud of that. I don't want to.
I guess I'm proud of it, but I don't know why, it served a purpose. And it's continuing to serve a purpose, because I don't have some strong inclination to drink at all.
Yeah.
And even the times where it's been like, oh yeah, I should just have a beer right now. I'm like, I don't really want a beer.
I want a beer right now.
I just want water. It's not a big deal. But I do like the awareness of, because I also had the same awareness in regards to my hair, where I'm like, I haven't washed my hair in 6 months.
That's right.
And people are like, what? That's crazy. Yes. See how special I am? I haven't. And that's an asinine fucking thing to, like, trot out, because that really just makes you seem like a dirty hippie. But it was
all in.
Yeah. And that's so silly. Do you know what I mean? I washed my hair this week.
Yeah, I know.
After we got back from camping.
I noticed.
So it's just funny. It literally is reverting back to this little kid that's like, look at how special I am. Please, somebody acknowledge that I'm special.
I think you're special.
I know you do, baby. And I know that I'm special.
Oh, that's right. It's not my attention you're trying to get, though. Continue.
That's a cute face. That's one I want to take a picture of. Anyways, maybe that's what my stretch is for September.
Is what?
Is bringing awareness to those areas where I where I'm attention seeking for things that I feel make me special, or I create something silly like I don't wash my hair. Look at me, I'm special and I'm unique. Maybe I'd bring some awareness to that. Do you want to talk about how our stretches have been for August?
Maybe. I want to say something else, though.
Okay.
What if that's an encouraging thing for you? What if you do these little things where you're all in, because you have big things where you kind of need to be all in? And so those things are hard. So you gain strength from these little things that you build up. It's like building up your muscle mass. So maybe it's a training thing that you do. Like, look, I can do this. I'm strong. Look, I can do this.
Yeah, I think
I don't want that to stop.
No, I think like the whatever it was, July or whatever, where I just received feedback from people, right, and accepted it. I think that is strength training.
I agree.
But I really think that this is just a good level of awareness for me to see how this is a behavior from a 6-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not that it's necessarily a bad thing, right? Everybody wants to be validated. Everybody wants to be made to feel special. Everybody wants to be seen. Those aren't bad things. I don't need to feel guilty about those things. But I do like the level of awareness of like, oh, I don't need to do that. Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing of like every time I talk to like my dad or one of my brothers or something like that, I'm just sitting there in some way, shape, or form, waiting to talk about my life and waiting to share some part of what I'm doing. So then they'll be like, oh, good job. I'm proud of you. That's cool. That's really neat. Tell me more about that, which never fucking happens, you know, but everybody does that. I see my dad do that with me, where it's like he spends all the time talking about shit that he's doing or what's going on in his life, because in some way, shape, or form, he is as well just wanting acknowledgement and validation and love from from his son.
Yes, he does.
So
I see that. I need to quit giving you outs. Like, that's what I do. I'll wrap up, even if there's something that I'm upset of, then I'll turn it. If I see that you're upset about it, then I'll turn it all the ways of positive, why you don't need to feel bad about it, or why it's good. Like, I will.
Give me outs.
All the time.
Try to
everything.
Protect me from any discomfort or pain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't need to do that.
You're right. Okay. Let's start now.
Hashtag She's Angry podcast listeners.
I've got a whole list of things.
So how did you do on your August stretch?
It's not over yet.
I know, but it's by the time this episode comes out, it's going to be close.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how I do by the time this episode comes out. And I know how I'm doing right now.
How have you done?
I started out strong. I started out really good.
Yes.
I feel like I did.
First off, recap what your stretch was. What your practice stretch was.
Do you remember
your
how hard
practice.
It was for me to say it when we talked about what it was?
Yes.
So simple down.
Simple down.
Simplified. Make it easy. Throw it down. Is trust. Trust in myself, trust in others, trust in the good, trust. And I think I did good at first. I started strong. And then I was not all in. I did not.
You are all in. It's just challenging as all.
It's very challenging.
Yeah.
So I have not been practicing very well. I've been trying, and it not only has, did I start strong and then it tapered off, but it just went downhill. Yeah, it's went downhill. I've been,
do you feel like you've reverted, gone back the complete opposite direction where you question everything and trust nothing?
Wow.
Do you know why that happens?
Well, I have a whole list of reasons, including all the negative things. Like I've lost too much.
Yeah.
This month. So why does that happen? What is your take other than my take? What is your take? Why?
I think the reason why those things happen, where we start implementing some new practice or we start trying something new and we start to shift and change some old patterns and old routines, and then suddenly we revert back even further than maybe we feel like we had started from when we tried to shift this, is because that is like, I was explaining this to Bob the other day on the phone. Shout out to Bob.
For shout outs, and I want to shout out to Megan.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, Megan.
Hey, Megan.
Hi, Megan and Bob, who listened to this.
God, now I can't remember what I was talking about. Oh, you know the thing where like the boy, our son Asher, grows up, and each developmental stage, his brain evolves and changes and grows and expands, and then he has to go back and like reevaluate his entire life.
Okay. Yeah.
So the same thing takes place when we shift a new pattern or try something new in our life, because we've evolved to this new level of not just intelligence and emotional intelligence and growth. As we start that process, it brings up everything else that we then have to go back and reevaluate with this new set of skills.
Yeah.
And so that's why it oftentimes feels like we are reverting back into all of these old things, or the things that maybe we potentially healed are coming back up. And
truth right there.
do you know what I mean? But it has nothing to do with, it is actually a massively good sign that you are on the right path and that you are headed in the right direction.
Well, look at me succeeding.
Because these things are coming back to be reevaluated and reprocessed with your new evolved level of emotions and intelligence and everything else.
Well, you made me sound like a badass.
You are a badass woman.
If all that's true, then yeah, I guess so. Because I've actually like had those exact thoughts of I thought I was making accomplishments. I thought I was healing. And now I'm like, this is all for nothing. I've done nothing. I'm the same old messed up, sad person that I've always been.
Yeah, but you're definitely not.
So
it just feels that way.
It totally feels that way.
Because all of that stuff is coming back for you to be, for you to reevaluate and look at and address with the new evolved set of, eyes that you have.
Well, that doesn't make me feel like a worthless piece of shit. So I'm going to trust that that's true and say, yay.
How would that make you? I thought that would be a positive thing. That's what I really think.
That doesn't make me feel. I wasn't being sarcastic. I'm like, that doesn't, like, everything is, I feel like shit.
Yeah.
So that gives me a little bit of hope. So what I was saying is I'm taking my August stretch and I'm trusting that that's true. And I'm going to hold on to that with hope and trust and see what builds.
Yeah.
Because I need a little positivity.
Mine, I did the same thing where I started off really strong. So my stretch, thank you, Mikey, Wade, for encouraging this one on a earlier episode of the podcast, was to be vulnerable with you, to practice real, raw, open, connected vulnerability with just you specifically, and have that be a focal point. And I think I started off really strong.
Started off super strong.
I think I did really, really good.
You did.
And then in the last week or week and a half or 2 weeks, not so good. Right? It's okay if you say yes. I've been there the entire time. I'm aware that I haven't done great with it. But it's the same thing where, do you know what I mean? It's a hard thing and it triggers old protective mechanisms, old danger, Will Robinson signs. And so, but it's a practice. So I'm looking forward to finishing out the rest of the month strong.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I like that. Oh, I encourage that of you. That makes me so happy.
Me too. So we have, I think, regardless, dear, the awareness that we get from these silly practices, because they're not silly. I shouldn't minimize them. The awareness that we get from these practices are massively huge.
Yeah.
And I like that we're doing them.
Well, I feel like my guard has dropped and now I'm ready to start this episode.
Okay.
Because my guard.
Let's get going with the episode.
Yeah. Well, my guard was up. I was rambly and not connected and all over the place and kind of scared to stay with one feeling. So now I feel like my guard has dropped and I can talk.
What do you think helped that relax and drop?
I think self-awareness and awareness with you. The way you described my stretch in a sense, it was like, oh, maybe I can breathe. Maybe I don't need to, I don't know. It let me take a breath. It gave me a little bit of hope. And when you were talking about your stretch, I don't know. I just felt you. I felt you. So it's not that you said anything so specific other than I felt what you were saying. And I'm like, oh.
I didn't drop any truth bombs.
Well, you did. You did.
Everybody watch out.
Yeah, well, they
Here
already heard them.
comes a truth bomb.
You already said them. I just feel relaxed now.
Good.
Yeah.
It makes me happy.
Okay, so what should we talk about now that I'm not a chaotic nut job?
Yeah, let's start the podcast now.
Hit record.
Everybody tune in. I'm consulting my list. I thought I had a list of shit that I wanted to talk about.
I just chugged.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was now.
Yeah.
I don't think I had it, actually. I do want to talk about This is a completely shift up and change from what we're currently talking about. Do you know what I want to talk about? You know what I want to talk about.
I do know what you want to talk about. And I did have anxiety at the beginning, thinking you were going to talk about this. And I didn't know how to talk about it because I don't want to.
Why don't you want to talk about it?
Well, we have to make sure that we're even on the same page.
Okay, what do you think it is?
I'm not going to say it because if it's not what you're thinking, I'm not going to remind you.
No, I want to talk about the mass shootings that take place in this country.
That was it.
How come you're anxious about it?
How come I'm anxious about it? I'm anxious because I feel like without change happening, that talking about it in this sense is nothing but the same issue of like the hype, the things that they want, the attention,
like sensationalism.
Yeah, and I don't agree with that. I think that is very detrimental. And so it's hard for me to not feel like that's what's happening if you talk about it with this, unless we're
actually doing something to change it.
Doing something. And we're able, like, our hands are tied. What can we do? We can sit here and shout about it. We can make a voice. We can talk about the victims. And I'm not going to get emotional. But it's not okay. And I don't want to bring any sensationalism, as you said, with it. I don't, like, it's not okay. It needs to stop.
Well, that
so I don't
feeling,
want to talk about it.
That feeling you have of, like, our hands are tied, we're helpless in this. There's nothing that we can do about it. I think a lot of people probably feel that way because this problem, this issue seems so huge, so big, right? And it's so, like, I think some of the other issues that we face and that we deal with, I mean, we can, first off, you and I could either sit here and try to delicately talk about this and stutter and screw up for the next 15 minutes because we're trying to not hurt anybody's feelings. We're trying to not trigger anybody. We're trying to not say something that is going to be portrayed or viewed in some negative light. We could sit here and try to do that. Or we could just fucking talk and people hopefully understand that, like, we're trying to come at it from the place of just an open conversation about some of this stuff. So I think that's what we should do.
Okay.
Rather than trying to sit and be like, do you know what I mean?
I'm not worried about triggering anybody because there's no way to not trigger somebody with this conversation. And that itself is probably a bad choice to use. I just don't want to give it hype. So it's not that. I just don't like.
Well, the thing that you said earlier of feeling like there's nothing that we can do and that my hands are tied and I feel helpless here.
We don't make the laws.
Right.
We can't. The people that make the laws aren't fucking listening.
I think what we can do is talk about it.
Okay.
I think that is what we can do, right? Because it's like if we try to march up to the Utah State Capitol and do whatever it is that we want to do to try to get this law passed or that law passed or something like that, that feels like that's not doing anything.
Right.
That feels...
They're not listening.
Yeah, they're not listening. But I think if enough of us talk about it and talk about it in a very, like... The whole thing is, I don't like the way it's being talked about.
Yes.
I don't like the way that people are talking about it. I don't like the way that it's being portrayed in the media. I don't like the conversation surrounding it.
Yes.
Every single time one of these things happens, which unfortunately happens quite frequently now, the conversation seems to be always the same. It's always a conversation about taking away guns or how we can get rid of guns or what we need to do about these guns is the first and foremost thing. And then the second thing is like really, we're going to just continue to let this happen and not do anything about it? And then each time they're like, seriously, like we're really serious. Something needs to change. And then it happens again next week. And they're like, okay, enough is enough. Like, we really need to do something about this. And then nothing gets fucking done about it. Now, the other part of the conversation that I don't like, and this issue, this thing that is taking place in America today and in our culture today in regards to why mass shootings happen and what we can do to fix them, it is not one thing. It is not a singular reason or cause of why they happen. And the fix, quote unquote, or the solution so that they happen less frequently, God forbid, right? Who knows? Maybe we don't have one this year. The fix is also multifaceted. It's not going to be one singular thing to fix it.
Great.
But I think for me, when I look at it, when I look at the situation, when I look at the problem, when I look at the way people are talking about it, when I really look at it, I mean, the majority of people that the majority of the people that are perpetrating these shootings are white men, right? I don't think it has anything to do with being white, even though there's probably a component there, but they're men. And the issue that I see looking at it is copious amounts of mental illness. Because in order for you to get to the point where you are going to disassociate and disconnect to the point where you're going to go out and do something like that, you have to have some sort of mental illness. And that's the conversation that we hear people half-ass converse about it in regards to like, well, this is a mental health issue. You're fucking right, it's a mental health issue. And it's not an individual mental health issue. It's a society as a whole mental health issue. How many times have you and I talked, and we've talked about it on the podcast in the past and everything like this, where every single person has some form of mental illness. Mm-hmm. Every single person has some varying degree of social anxiety, of depression, of OCD, of bipolar. Everybody falls somewhere on this big fucking spectrum that we can paint as mental illness. Mm-hmm. But nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to admit it. And then when we have these cases happen, these issues, these terrible, terrible tragedies happen, the person that perpetrates it is referenced as a maniac. This maniac is insane. This insane person. And they're, now, wrong, right, indifferent, it doesn't matter, but we still have to think about that individual person if we're going to fix the problem. We can't just say that person's fucking crazy and write them off as a fucking crazy person and then move on, because that fucking crazy person did this terrible thing. You don't go to bed one night and then wake up fucking crazy and go out and shoot a bunch of people. There's a long fucking process to get to that point.
Could have been helped.
They could have been helped endless number of times, right? Because I now granted, I haven't spent copious amounts of time researching any of these people. I don't know any of their backstories. All the information that I'm basing any of this shit off of is just the shit that I see in news and in media and watching shit on YouTube and, you know, whatever it is. Listening to interviews. Recently listened to Bernie Sanders on Rogan, and they talked at great length about this mass shooting issue and what he's going to do if he gets elected. They don't have fucking answers. It's the same rhetoric of we're going to try to get rid of big magazines for assault rifles and bump stocks and make it, 5-day waiting periods and get rid of these gun show loops. And like, it just feels like complete wasted rhetoric of nonsense that isn't going to solve anything, because there's enough guns in existence right now to where if somebody really wants to get their hands on one to go hurt somebody else, super fucking easy. You're never going to get rid of that.
Yeah, but it also, like, I think that is not the solution, but I think it is a part of the big solution. I think that's helpful. I think that they need to not, if you have severe mental issues, like, it's not saying you're a bad person, but like, maybe you don't need a gun.
But there's no way to stop the person that has severe mental issues from getting a gun.
You're
There's
right.
literally no way to do it.
There is no way, but we don't have to make it so easy and convenient and legal for them. At least it'll be harder for them to get. And maybe those extra steps just might be the difference. And maybe it won't when somebody's got their mind made up. And I know that the mental issue needs to be addressed before then. For one, because these maniacs out there, everybody's afraid to ask for help because they don't want to look like it's either you are completely healthy or you are just a crazy, like, homicidal, destructive person. Like, there's no middle ground of it being okay.
Exactly.
So that conversation does need to happen. But in the meantime, with that as well, all of that needs to happen, but making it just slightly harder, making it harder for them to get their hands so they can't go down to freaking Walmart or get some or wherever and just purchase these guns, purchase these big weapons. It doesn't matter if it's a handgun, if it's a rifle, if it's an assault rifle, if it's whatever. It's a bullet is a bullet. And yes, the amount that goes out, if they can lessen the amount, it's going to make a difference. But if they just make it just a little bit harder,
I agree. I agree
helps.
completely. I think it helps. Like I said, it's a multifaceted thing that has to be approached from many different angles. But I think on the scale, like if we look at 100%, what's going to help mass shootings from not happening, the gun issue is maybe 10 or 20% of that answer. And I think mental health is 50 to 60 to 70% of it.
Okay. And
Because
what's the rest?
I don't know. I don't even know. Like, we need to not put shit online, and, you know, it doesn't need to be, I mean, there's a lot of other little issues that probably make up that last little 20 or 30%. But the mental health part for me is the most important part. That's the part that I think is why we're having this systemic issue with mass shootings, because people are so incredibly disconnected from one another. And like you said, you can't reach out for help. Like, imagine a student today in high school going to the counselor and saying, I just really need to talk to somebody because I'm finding that I have these crazy, like, not even ideas or thoughts, but just stuff runs through my head where I picture blowing this school up and killing people. What the fuck's going to happen to that kid that reaches out for help?
Tons of trauma.
Right?
Outcast. You're going to be
Immediately he's going to be like, oh God, we don't know
People
what to
are
do with
going
this
around,
kid. What are we
like-
going to do? And we need to get him help. And suddenly his whole life changes, right?
right there because you reached out.
Exactly. That's really, really silly.
Mm-hmm.
I have had visions of blowing shit up and murdering people on a massive level,
Oh, well, that's it. They're going to come knocking on our door.
right?
Come
Everybody
take you
has
away, haha.
crazy thoughts that run through their head. All of that shit's super fucking normal, right? Like, mine have been crazy.
I've had crazy thoughts
Yeah.
myself.
I like, sometimes you're standing there waiting in line at Walmart and you're like, if only I had my sword. If I had my sword, all this would go so much smoother. It'd be so fucking fine. Like, you go crazy, like Kill Bill crazy, where everybody's getting limbs cut off. Normal, right? Totally normal. But the fact that we can't talk about that, the fact that we can't reach out for help about that, the fact that we just don't acknowledge that people have those thoughts is silly. And
Thoughts are different than plans.
exactly, thoughts are different than plans. Thoughts are different than feelings,
Thoughts are different than
right?
plans, yes.
And we definitely have to be able to get people to connect to their emotions and to their feelings. And nobody is doing that. Like, nobody is presenting this idea of like, these people that you know, these criminals, these maniacs that perpetrate these mass shootings, did they ever have the opportunity to talk to anybody about their feelings? And maybe they'll say, well, yeah, look, they went to counseling and a lot of them are on like antidepressants and SSRIs and things like that. Like, they're on medication to try to cope and deal with whatever medical issue that they have, right? But we have obviously a broken mental health system that isn't working. We watched the Marianne Williamson, and she talks about how we don't have a healthcare issue. We have what is it?
It's not helping people like get healthy. it's helping people stay sick.
Yeah.
In a sense. That's not the exact verbatim, but that's what.
Yeah, it's the same thing with mental health. We're not helping people we're not helping people
Get
manage
healthy and stay healthy.
And stay balanced and have a practice in their life and a routine and a normalization of their emotional state and where they can go to speak to people and to talk to people and express these things. We're not doing any of that. We're just giving people pills that are struggling with anxiety or depression when they come to us and talk about it.
Money off of the sick.
Yeah.
You get more money keeping them sick than you do if they get healthy. So that's where it is.
Yeah. And
in any aspect, health, like physical, mental, all of that.
It really angers me when I hear them reference these people as maniacs.
Yeah.
It's like it's so hard for our brain to wrap around the idea that somebody could do this, that they must be this terrible monster, like Silence of the Lambs type serial killer, that, they must be this horrible person. So that's the way that we have to compartmentalize it in our brain and as a society in order to like put the pieces together so that this can even remotely close to make sense, because that can't be a normal person who just had a emotional snapping moment and a mental break. That has to be somebody that is really, really fucking crazy, a maniac, right? That's not the case. That case is that's a normal person who was like brought up in probably a shitty fucking house, who probably never had any love, who knows what their life looked like up until that point. But we're not doing anything about that. Well, not only that, like, we're not really talking about it. And if you're mentally ill, and I hate that word, right? We've gone through the whole thing of like, it's just like mentally unbalanced. Like, you can be shitballs crazy. That doesn't mean that you're always going to be that way. You can bring it back to this balanced level. So maybe you have insane thoughts, and maybe you even start to make plans. And that doesn't suddenly mean that we need to ostracize you and lock you up in order to protect society as a whole. That means that you just need a lot of help. Surprise, surprise, we all need fucking help from one another.
What if they're not even that mentally, like, as you're saying that, like, how much of it has to do with the patriarchy and the dehumanization that takes place?
In what way? Like, how does the patriarchy
I'm sure
affect this?
Well, it's just a theory, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure there are women out there that are doing this. However, like, you have women that are suicide bombers, you have that. But what we're talking about, the mass shootings that are going on in the United States, I haven't heard of. And I'm not saying they're immune, because, like, I'm telling you, as a woman, as female, as all of the wonders that go on, I can go to some places where I'm just about to like lose it. Like, some days I think this is it. Like, this is it. This is when it happens. This is when today's the day. I'm going to lose my shit. Like, that happens. But the majority of you talking about feelings and not being able to express their feelings, the majority of this is men. The majority of this, and how much, like what you've been talking about, men. I mean, are you busy? Like,
I'm looking. No, keep going. I'm
okay.
listening. I'm looking to see if there are any female mass shooters.
Okay. And that is not I would really like to keep that as a non-existent thing, by the way. But men have very much they're pussies or they're strong. So either they are dominating, they control, we'll say high school, they control the school, they're the leaders, they're the jocks, they're the strong, they're the chosen ones, you're either that or you're nothing. And so when you have these dads that grew up like that, and moms as well, it's not just the dads out there that are being assholes. You can definitely have the moms that are like, this is how you're supposed to be. This is not, but the pressure that gets put on the guys, the pressure of, don't be weak. Don't cry. Don't act like a girl. Don't do this. So either you're really strong and you get that strength by going against people, being dominating, being violent, being aggressive, being controlling, or it's usually the ones that are being bullied. It's the ones that are being treated like crap, the ones that are being told that they're nothing, the ones that are being tormented daily. And you got to be stronger. You got to be stronger. So when it comes to that point of where they break because they've been dehumanized themselves, they don't feel like a human. They're not connected. They're worthless. They're nothing. They're garbage. So they are not relating to their human side. And then the people that they're seeing, monsters, they can't relate to them as humans. So when they go to this, it's such brokenness and trying to find their strength that they're told that they don't have. So that's a way to exert it. You know, I'm not weak anymore, am I? So how sad that it can be that simple. It can be that simple. And then you have hate with hate and fear. When you dehumanize another race and when you attack that, it's the same. You don't see them as people. It's that separation. Yes, mental health comes into it. The cognitive mind can hold on and see the difference between a human and not seeing it as a human. But when you go through and dehumanize, you take the aspects of the people away and you have to fight to feel like, I just think it can make a difference.
I totally agree, babe. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think it is a part of the issue, a part of the problem.
It's a big part.
Mm-hmm. But taking guns away isn't the fix for that.
I'm not saying to take guns away, but I'm saying make it harder. And yeah, if you're a violent criminal, I do believe in partial of that. I do think it should be harder. And everybody does not have the right to bear arms. And I know I just started some shit right there. But if it's all about the rights and rights being taken away, then why does everybody not have the right to vote? Like, it can just be as simple as that right there. You take away the right to choose who's in office based off of offenses, but guns are only so. Now I know that you can be a restricted person and
yeah, like
how
if
hard
you're a
is it?
felon, you technically can't get a gun.
Technically.
Yeah.
So they do make that hard. So that's good. But why is that not the same with some kind of the mental? I don't know. I don't have the answers, but I would like the opportunity. If I was in a place of power where I was making laws and I was passing things and I was voting for things that, like, if I could be up there making a difference, I'm going to look at that. I'm going to try. Yeah. Instead of just being, who's going to give me the vote so I can get reelected? It's not about making a difference. They don't care about what's going to happen. They care about saying what's going to be said to the majority of the people so I can get the vote to keep this paycheck. Bullshit. Get them out of there. Or better yet, let's make it a non-paying position.
That would be cool.
Let's see that. Let's see who wants that now when you don't have a lifetime of luxury and bills paid and health care.
Well, what if it's a paying position, like for the presidency? Let's say you do get paid for those 4 years that you're in office, but it's like minimum wage, right?
Let's give them a cops and teachers salary.
Well, minimum wage. Because the minimum wage is this big fucking deal where people are, we need to raise the minimum wage and all this bullshit. Okay, let's give the president, a 40-hour work week at minimum wage.
And now, granted, not lifetime health care.
Yeah.
Not your...
No, everything that they get after the fact, fuck off. You get it while you're in office because that's a job.
Yeah.
If you want that job, this is what it pays and this is what you get. And then when you're no longer president, guess what? Go get another fucking job like everybody else.
Well, they'll look at it and you'll have retaliation, or not retaliation, but a way to counteract that with Trump, who supposedly has refused his salary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a noble.
Isn't he? Like, what kind of changes would happen then if you didn't have that cushion, if you didn't get to vote yourself for a raise and make all this money, if it was... a shit.
Yeah, let's do minimum wage for everybody in the government.
Everybody.
Right? My guess is if we suddenly did that, minimum wage would probably go up.
Minimum wage would go up. Healthcare costs would go down. Yeah. All of these things. The coverage to get help for those that need assistance, that qualifying bar is going to change. So many things would change based off all that. And then, oh my gosh, we could pay off some debt. We could get some nationally funded mental health programs.
Yeah.
And not just,
free
look at all
mental
this.
health. Free mental
And
health.
then make
free
it, like
healthcare.
you've said, make it mandatory. Not mandatory, but like as normal as you would say before, as normal as going to see a dentist.
Yeah.
Unless you're one
Every
of those
6
people that
months you
are
go to
afraid
your
of a
counselor.
dentist and you're like, nope.
Yeah. Every 6 months you go to your counselor, check
At
in,
least.
have an hour appointment. And then if it's like a moment in your life when you need some extra help, then you get, 3 more follow-up appointments. And if you want some after that 3 follow-up appointments, then it's, $20 an hour or something like that.
And how about we change the conversation of when somebody comes to you and says, I'm having homicidal thoughts, I'm having suicidal thoughts, not, we need to quarantine you and you're crazy and here's this black mark. Be like, oh my God, I'm so glad you talked to me about that. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
Make it fucking normal.
Yeah. I'm having homicidal thoughts as well. I wanted to cut that person's head off that was in line in front of me. I was in traffic and I wanted to pit their car and then get out and smash their face against their own windshield and be like, look, motherfucker, this is what happens when you tailgate me. That's what I wanted to do.
I'm a nice person, I think. But my road rage, like I don't act on it. I don't like
But you
go,
feel it.
Oh my God. The things that I feel when I'm driving, when people are like,
and then
or if the kids are, because, you're not saying the things when the kids are in the car, but
and
you
then the
are
visions
thinking,
that flood your mind, right?
I would not be allowed to walk the street.
And we are totally normal humans.
I wouldn't even like, I don't even ride like bumpers in aggression. Sometimes I'm maybe a little distracted and I'm a little closer than I should be, but I'm not like, ha, I'll show you, son of a, I don't, but the thoughts, ooh, those are intense. And
it's so
I
funny.
challenge anybody to honestly say they don't have that when they drive. Bullshit. Not every time.
But every now and then it
Every
creeps
now
in.
and then.
Yeah. Which
Every
is
now
totally
and then.
normal.
Yeah.
It's totally normal to want to run somebody over.
And so having somebody be like, oh my gosh, me too, but never.
Yeah.
That means like that's a normal feeling. But obviously, like sometimes, like if I am by myself, I'll be like, bah, 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 in the car.
Mm-hmm.
But if I notice somebody has their window down, because I don't want them to hear that. Why? Because I don't really feel that way.
Yeah.
I'm mad at a situation. I'm mad at a moment. I have these thoughts, but oh my gosh, I would never hurt that person. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Well, let's recap, dear, so we can
Let's
wrap it up
recap?
and get naked. Because
I don't want to get naked now. I am not in a sexy mood. That is not happening.
That's the difference between men and women.
You're ready for sex?
Yes.
Okay, I love you and you're sexy and I am always down, but you're going to have to work me into this right now. No, that's not happening.
I'm going to blow. I love you. Just blow in your face.
No.
And then you'll be like, oh, that's so.
I don't know.
I'll just walk by you with my man musk.
I will scent your pheromones and suddenly my panties will fall to the floor.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't have fixes or solutions, but we need to talk about it and talk about it with the people that you love, that you care about, and at least start a conversation about what the hell the fix is for these issues and problems. Because this mass shooting one is just one of many,
It's not okay to.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not okay that it continues to happen. It's asinine. And all the things that people are throwing out there for fixes just aren't that. It's like the healthcare issue where we're keeping people sick instead of like, oh, let's teach people how to be healthy. That's what this is. Let's teach people how to be healthy and mentally balanced and emotionally stable so then they don't go crazy and go into the mall with the AR-15.
Or the schools.
Or the schools.
And all of you elected officials that have the opportunity to make a difference. Yeah, why don't you do that?
Do something about it.
Yeah, why don't you quit worrying about what's going to get you voted in and say, I'm in office now, I can do something now. And if that means that maybe this is my last term, let it be. What can you do with that amount of time? What can you do right now? Because I'm guessing that you started this because you were going to make a difference and you lost sight. So go back to that part. What can you do now? You have the power now. What can you do? Make a difference. What ripple effect can you start by being brave and making a difference, doing the right thing? I challenge you.
Challenge accepted. I love you.
I love you. I feel like my guard has dropped and now I'm ready to start this episode.
What time is it? It's almost 9.
Yeah.
It's drinking time.
Is it?
Everybody falls somewhere on this big fucking spectrum that we can paint as mental illness. You don't go to bed one night and then wake up fucking crazy and go out and shoot a bunch of people. There's a long fucking process to get to that point.